boss lady realtor here in Austin, Texas. If this is your first time on my channel and you want to learn everything about working, living, eating, breathing, and playing in Austin, Texas, make sure to click that notification button and click that subscribe button so you get notified every time I have a new video. I get calls and texts every day from folks just like you who are thinking about relocating to the Austin area, and I super love it. If you're thinking about relocating anywhere in the Austin metro, make sure to call, text, email, shoot me an Instagram DM, like literally whatever works. If you want to move to Austin, I got you. Today, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of the East Riverside neighborhood in East Austin. I have a lot to say about this area because I used to live there for a while, and so did my camera guy. Woo! So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go. To start with, the actual street of Riverside runs all the way east from almost Highway 130, which is our toll road, all the way west almost to Mopac. Like the name changes and like it splits off weird, but it goes pretty far east and west. So this area actually holds a very special place in my heart because I lived in this neighborhood for about 2.5 years in my mid-20s. So I have lots of memories here, and I've seen this neighborhood change drastically in honestly like a short span of like 4 years. I've been in Austin for a little bit over 10 years. I moved to Austin from Minneapolis in 2010-ish. And I remember one of the first times I went to the East Riverside neighborhood, I was told to stay in my car, don't look anybody, and just drive through to where I was going. It wasn't like super, super dangerous, but if you didn't need to be there for something, there's no reason you should have been there, honestly. With Austin growing as much as it has, and with it being right next to downtown, the neighborhood has exploded. And I mean this, like, exploded doesn't do it justice, but it has grown so much because it is so close to downtown. It was also super rough, and real estate, like property, right? Like real estate in general was very inexpensive. So there were a lot of developers that bought property there, lots of people that came in and remodeled homes, lots of apartment developments that came in and knocked down old, like dilapidated buildings and build higher end apartments. So in this area, there were two main turning points. Number one was when the first round of higher end apartments went up over there. It was very random. Nobody really expected that. And it started changing the area because, like I said, it's so close to downtown, it actually makes a lot of sense for that to be such a cool happening area. So there was the first group of higher end apartments. And of course it drew a crowd that cares more about taking care of their property and the area and the neighborhood and all that. And with that came the Riverwalk, not the San Antonio Riverwalk. It came with the Riverwalk for like the East Riverside part of the river, which is this gorgeous sidewalk. Literally, it's like this sidewalk that's beautifully illuminated that's right on the river or on the lake, depends who you ask, but it's on the water. And you can run, you can bike, you can walk. I mean, yeah, it's really cool. There's also a lot of kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding over there. And it's just a very scenic, very friendly place to be outdoors. One of the other big turning points for the East Riverside neighborhood, it was when the Oracle campus built its massive building campus over there. It provided thousands of jobs for people in Austin and then from outside of the state who came in. Because of the influx of people that went to work at Oracle a few years ago, there was just a lot more home construction and like higher end apartment development that went on in the area. So that's changed it a lot. We're also seeing a couple developments that have these big, beautiful townhomes. If you're from like New York, you'll understand this. They're kind of like a brownstone, which is very not Texas. And these styles of homes, I think, are really marketed to people that are coming from out of states, and they're gorgeous. I personally think they're wonderful, and they're needed for that area to grow and evolve and change and so on. But it's kind of random. I remember there's a condo development, a really rundown condo development right on Burleson, which is right off East Riverside. When I lived there I didn't live in that development, but like I lived super close. But when I lived there in 2015, you could buy like a condo, like really for about $70,000. It's crazy. And today those have appreciated. They're probably closer to like to $150,000, $160,000, still inexpensive, still run down, but still that gives you an idea. If you had a really inexpensive property, it more than doubled in price within about 4 or 5 years, literally. Along with all these newer businesses that are coming into this area, there's still also the original businesses that have been on East Riverside for years. There is a shopping center where you can find like a bunch of Mexican businesses. They have a really good meat market called a Michoacana. That's what you call them here. You can buy really authentic food, good meat, all at a pretty good price, I would say. There's also Rodeo Nightclub, which is a pop-in Mexican nightclub. That's probably not open right now during COVID, but during normal times, it's a good place to get down. And then just a bunch of other places. One of my favorite taco trucks is over there. It's called Tacos al Pastor. It's authentic tacos, and they are open, to me, it seems like 24/7. I remember going there at like 3 o'clock in the morning after partying downtown in like 2015. Literally, if you go by at night, it's like their little taco truck is out there. They've got some lights out there. If it's raining, they'll put out a tarp. They've got tables and everything. It's a cool place where you can get really good tacos. It brings all sorts of people together, and it's right there in the middle of the action. Alrighty, so now let's get into the pros and cons. I just wanted to tell you my story and my personal love for that area. Like anywhere in Austin that's popular, that's got a main road running through it, there is a lot of stinking traffic. Like there just is a lot of it. Another piece of knowledge that you should know, something that is going on in a lot of like central Austin neighborhoods, is we've got this like epidemic of homeless colonies coming up. The mayor approved this law a couple years ago that allows homeless folks to literally set up camp in like any public location. So this includes under the bridge, public parks, like I've seen a bunch in medians. So to give an example, like East Riverside, there's a large portion of it where the street kind of becomes a Y, and then there's this huge patch of grass. It could almost be a small park between the two sides of the street, one going west and the other one going east. So there's a patch of grass, and there's a huge homeless colony there. The homeless here they're not aggressive. They're not going to come attack you. I mean, for the most part. I know other parts of the country, they kind of have that reputation. It's just unsightly. It's also very dirty. And it's a shock to those of us that have been living in Austin, because generally Austin is a very clean city. So to see something like that, of course, is it's just not what we're used to. Because the East Riverside neighborhood was such a rough area, there are a lot of rundown homes. I don't think it was ever built to be like a high-end luxury neighborhood. I see a lot of homes that were built there like in the 50s and 60s that just don't have a lot of architectural integrity. A lot of the homes have issues with foundation. Not all of them, and it's not always a huge deal, but it's something to be aware of. We do see people go into these neighborhoods and buy these homes to remodel them, flip them later, but they're usually like a bigger remodel job than just like paint and flooring. So yeah, that's something to be aware of if you're looking to buy an older home there. The newer homes are pretty well built. I mean, they're by higher end builders. They are more expensive. They tend to be like in the $600,000 to $800,000 range, depending on the size. But if you're going to be going for an older home, just be ready to deal with some of that. Just like any other trendy neighborhood in Austin, you do see a really big hodgepodge of styles of homes. You can have this little house that was built like in 1960 something that's been totally dilapidated, and there's like chickens running around in the front yard, and then you can have this beautiful condo development right next to it. It just really depends on the street. Something I will say about the East Riverside neighborhood is that you literally have everything on hand. If you want more authentic like Mexican food and other ethnic restaurants, there's a bunch of them there, and they're really good. There's also like big box type things that you might need, like Walgreens, right, and Chipotle, and they also have a beautiful new Starbucks. So there really is a lot of variety, and it's just super convenient. I will say from my own experience, even though everything in East Riverside is very close together, I wouldn't necessarily recommend walking. There's just so much traffic, and there's sidewalks, but it's not like a very comfortable walking atmosphere. You can, I'm sure I know there's definitely people that do, but between the homeless and the traffic and like the crappy sidewalks, I would just recommend taking a car or taking an Uber. So I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of traffic. There's also a lot of noise because of the sheer amounts of traffic that there are actually like on the road, but it's also, the neighborhood is also so close to the highway that you literally just hear traffic on East Riverside and then the traffic that's coming from 35. So if you've been watching some of my other videos, I talk a lot about how Austin neighborhoods are oftentimes really scenic. There's a lot of trees, lots of greenery overall, and that's really true for a good portion of Austin neighborhoods. East Riverside has this beautiful park. It's huge and it kind of like brings the neighborhood together because it's such a big park. The northern edge of it runs along the river and there's a little beach spot called Secret Beach. It's just a really beautiful, peaceful spot where you can hang out, stick your little feet in the water. I mean, you could probably go all the way into, there's, you know, I mentioned earlier that there's canoeing and stand-up paddling. It's very peaceful. It's really nicely kept. It's very clean, and there's always just a lot of people there, and it's got a really nice vibe to it. And if you like to travel, a wonderful detail about the East Riverside neighborhood is that literally East Riverside like street will take you directly to Highway 71, and then you're basically at the airport. I used to live in the area, and I remember it took me maybe 12 minutes with traffic to get to the airport every time I went out of town. It's super convenient in that regard. So you can get to the airport, you can get downtown, you can hop on 35 and go like north and check out what's going on in the North Austin area. Just very accessible, lots to do, and overall it's a neighborhood that's growing. And if you're more investment minded, it's one of these areas that's just, it's continuously appreciating. So there you go. That is all the information that was in my head about the East Riverside neighborhood that I want to share with you. I'm sure there's stuff I forgot, and if there's something that you want to know or that you're curious about, please feel free to leave a comment. Also, if you are new to my channel and you want to learn anything and everything about living, working, eating, breathing, playing in Austin, Texas, please make sure to send me a text, give me a call, send me an email, Instagram, DM, whatever works for you. If you want to move to Austin, Texas, I got you.